It's you and
Welcome back, guys. Today I am doing a reaction to the top 10 most violent DC villains by Watch Mojo. Now I usually do some of these reactions by their channel. They have some good quality videos and I usually watch them in my free time. So if you enjoy, leave a like, comment, subscribe, and with that being said, let's hop right in to the video.
These evildoers aren't afraid to get bloody. Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today
Oh
we're
yeah,
counting down
Bane,
our picks for the
especially.
top 10 most violent
Solomon
DC
Grundy,
villains.
the Joker.
Think you know the Justice League? Click below to sign in with your Google
I
or
can't
Facebook
even-
account and take the new trivia quiz on WatchMojo.com. Follow the link in the description.
Doomsday,
For
maybe.
this list, we'll be looking at villains from DC
Deathstroke,
Comics
especially.
with
He's
hints of
honestly my
top
favorite
violence.
DC villain. Him
While
and the
there are
Joker.
plenty of villains out there that cause mayhem with elaborate plots, these baddies like to get their own hands dirty and do so often. Number 10, Killer Croc.
Yep.
Waylon Jones is a misunderstood creature. Despite his
pretty
monstrous
powerful,
appearance,
though.
he's a man with crocodile-like features and not the other way around. Shunned by society, it could be argued that it was the world's failure to accept him that turned him into the villain he is today, as Jones has shown a softer side over the years. Be that as it may,
Now, I've
he
never
also uses
read
his
the
colossal
comics or
strength and
anything. I've
crocodile-like
played the
anatomy
Batman
to tear
Arkham
his
games,
opponents
and
apart.
I've also seen
Over
the
years,
movies,
he's been depicted inconsistently,
the DC movies,
with varying
so
degrees of intelligence and savagery.
some of these villains
But
I
after
might
being
not even
infected with a
recognize.
virus that made him increasingly animalistic, he went full cannibal. Speaking of cannibals, we'd be remiss not to give a shout out to the similarly violent King Shark. Number 9, Black Adam. Whenever a character is the ruler
I
of
know a little
sovereign
bit about
nation,
Black
their
Adam.
hero/villain status is complicated. Black Adam is the arch-nemesis of Shazam and
Yep.
boasts a similar power set. Over the years, he's fought alongside the heroes of the DC universe as well as its villains. As the champion and/or ruler of Kondak, his allegiances
There are rumors,
usually
though, that
governed
Dwayne
by
The Rock
interests
Johnson
of
is
his
going to be
people.
playing him in the
Though we
movies.
appreciate the complexity of his moral compass,
So-
his history of extreme violence earns him villain status in our books. An egotistical warrior who relishes combat, he has a nasty habit of dismembering his opponents, or obliterating their skulls with an
Ooh.
eye poke. He uses extreme and
oh my
gratuitous
God,
violence
I can't even
without
imagine that.
hesitation or remorse. Number 8, Darkseid.
Darkseid.
This tyrant and conqueror of worlds has legions of minions at his disposal to do his dirty work for him. Using his powers and influence, he has killed more people than any earthly villain could ever dream of. But it's when he himself gets directly involved in the fray that things get really ugly. The heroes of the DC universe always block his attempts to conquer Earth, at which point he's only too happy to teach them firsthand the pains of fighting a god. With his Omega beams, one shot is enough to prove lethal. Of course, he's just as happy to get up close and personal, as he's proven time and time again in his brutal hand-to-hand battles with members of the Justice League and their allies. Number 7, Deathstroke.
Deathstroke.
You don't get a
My
label like
favorite
the Terminator by
DC
solving
villain.
your problems with your words. Slade Wilson is a mercenary, assassin, and is arguably the most
was awesome
deadly
to fight
and efficient
against in
killer for
Batman
hire
Arkham
in the
Origins.
DC universe. A super soldier
One of my favorite
program
boss
gave him
fights
increased
ever.
strength, stamina, reflexes, agility, intelligence, and endurance.
I just like the
It
costume,
also
in all
heightened his
honesty.
senses, gave him a healing factor, and slowed the aging process. The thing is, even before getting this upgrade, he was already a masterful combatant. Ruthless and efficient, Deathstroke can cut through a room of minions without breaking
And
a
he's
sweat.
awesome with,
Operating
guns,
without
too.
remorse and single-minded in his task, Deathstroke is a killing machine.
Yeah, he's badass.
Number 6,
Doomsday, there it is.
Violent villains get that way
I had
by
a feeling
various
he would be
paths,
on this list.
But Doomsday is the rare specimen that seems to exist solely for destructive purposes. He's not generally depicted as being interested in money or world domination. He is an agent of violence, pure and simple. The most popular origin story for the character is that he was created to become the ultimate life form. To this end, he was repeatedly subjected to death, only to be brought back stronger and more capable of survival. It's basic evolution, as guided by the survival of the fittest
Damn.
concept.
Yeah,
Set
he
to
is
fast
pretty tough.
forward. As such, all that Doomsday knows is pain and violence, which he inflicts upon everyone and everything he encounters. Number 5, Bane.
Bane.
This
Oh my
juggernaut
God,
of a man
Bane's.
is among the most
Bane was
physically
probably one of the hardest
formidable
boss
foes that Batman
fights I've
has
ever had to do.
faced. Though there is no shortage of hulking villains in DC Comics, Bane stands apart from the bunch by being not just a physical threat, but a master tactician as well. Fueled by venom, A hyper-potent
Now, I do
super
prefer Marvel
steroid,
over
Bane is
DC,
capable of
but I will
delivering
say
bone-shattering
DC does
blows.
have some good villains.
Undeniably, his most famous act
Video
of violence was
game-wise,
when
I
he
think
broke
DC
the
is a lot
bat,
better.
literally breaking
Movie-wise,
Bruce
I
Wayne's back.
think Marvel is a
Having
lot
spent
better.
his childhood in one of the most dangerous prisons in the world, Bane was raised on violence, and it shows. Any villain who can snap Killer Croc's arm is indeed a master of the violent arts.
He did that?
Number 4, Ares.
Ares.
He's the freaking god of war, so yeah, violence is basically his middle name. For millennia, he has fostered, encouraged, helped orchestrate, and relished in large-scale acts of violence between the factions of mankind. More than just a puppeteer, however, Ares enjoys getting into the thick of war, wetting his sword or battle axe with blood on the field of combat. One of his favorite opponents to clash weapons with is none other than Wonder Woman, whom he has had violent encounters with on numerous occasions.
Look at that. He
In
looks
his
so
quest to
badass
encourage
in that
war,
scene.
there's
Oh
no
my
need
god.
too violent to achieve his bloody ends. Number 3, Victor Zsasz.
Victor Zsasz is just
Serial
plain
killers, with
insane.
few exceptions, tend to be extremely violent individuals by nature. A nihilist who took the philosophy to its darkest
Yeah, he marks
logical
all his kills
conclusions,
on his body.
Zsasz kills his victims to liberate them from the burden that is life. Everything may be meaningless to Zsasz, but he certainly seems to derive great pleasure
That's pretty
from his
insane,
work.
honestly.
For every
Like,
life he takes, Zsasz gives himself a scar,
Yeah.
making his body a living temple to his kill count.
So he knows how many
A
he's
skilled
killed.
hand-to-hand combatant, Zsasz is at his best when armed with blades, which he wields with deadly accuracy. He's been repeatedly incarcerated, but he's not interested in treatment or reform. He lives for the kill.
That's
Number
insane.
2, Professor Pig. This psychotic killer is a relatively
I really don't
recent
know
addition
much
to
about
Batman's
him.
Rogues Gallery, but in his short history,
He
he's
is a
made
villain in
quite
Batman
the
Arkham
impression.
Knight, but otherwise
Professor
I
Pig
have
made
no
his debut
clue
in
who he is.
2007's appropriately numbered Detective Comics number 666. The deranged doctor was allegedly driven mad by his own concoctions and now practices his craft on the unwilling citizens of Gotham. He enjoys performing unneeded surgeries, turning people into his minions, known as Dolatrons, and, of course, killing. His skills with a scalpel apparently translate quite well to wielding a knife. He's seemingly driven by a desire to achieve perfection in others, but his vision of perfection is notably skewed. He's quickly established himself as one of Batman's most sadistic and violent villains.
I think
Really,
Joker would
his
be
work
more
speaks for
sadistic than
itself.
him, to be honest.
Number 1, Joker.
Of course.
Yes, indeed. Despite steep
Batman's
competition
greatest
from
foe.
his fellow villains,
Shocker.
we ultimately had to hand the crown over to the Clown Prince of Crime.
He's the one who made
Though he may be prone to
Barbara
silliness and odd gimmicks,
handicapped.
his clownish ways only serve to add an extra level of perversion to his twisted acts of violence. The man beat Batman's second Robin to death with a crowbar, laughing as he did it. He once skinned a man alive. Who could forget what he did to Barbara Gordon and her father?
Yeah.
This is the sort of villain who goes joyriding around Christmas
As
time,
insane as he
running
is,
down
I
random
love that about him.
pedestrians.
How he's
DC
like
comics are
so
full
insane.
of violent criminals, but few do it with such genuine joy as the Joker.
Yeah.
Do you agree with our picks? Check out these other great clips from Watch Mojo and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.
Alright guys, yeah, that was my reaction. The only thing I don't agree with is that Solomon Grundy was on the list because he is pretty violent. You know, he's a big bad monster, you know. But otherwise, I agree with the list. I especially agree with Joker as number 1 because he is the most sadistic out of all of them. But yeah, there were good choices on here. Most of them I knew. I'm glad I knew most of them. Professor Pig was the only one I wasn't too familiar with, and Ares. Otherwise, I knew every other villain pretty well. I had a basic understanding of who they were and how crazy they are. But yeah, I hope everyone enjoyed my reaction. If you did, leave a like, comment, subscribe, and have a great night. Later.